evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the January 20th, 2015 regular meeting of the Piqua City Commission. Would you all make sure your cell phones are turned completely off, please, as it might interfere with our broadcast signal. And then I would ask you to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are going to adjust our agenda a little bit this evening. We were to go into executive session right after we do the roll call, but instead we're going to do the oath of offices for our Piqua Fire Department and then do the consent agenda. Then we will go into executive session. So if the clerk would call the roll, please.
Mayor Fess.
Here.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Commissioner Terry.
Here.
Commissioner Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Vogt is absent this evening.
I move we excuse Commissioner Vogt.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to excuse Commissioner Vogt. All those in favor signify stating aye.
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 Opposed? Commissioner Vogt has been excused. At this time, I'd ask the law director to administer the oath of office first to our new Assistant Fire Chief, Jonathan A. Stevens. John?
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Jonathan Stevens,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will
that I will
obey the Constitution
obey the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the charter and ordinances
of the charter and ordinances
of the city of Piqua
of the city of Piqua,
and faithfully
and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Assistant Fire Chief
Assistant Fire Chief
of the Piqua Fire Department.
of the Piqua Fire Department.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I understand John has a prepared speech tonight.
Okay. Yeah, John, if you have anything you'd like to say.
I will say that I feel the same way as I did when I originally first started here, that it continues to be an honor and privilege to have the opportunity to continue to serve the citizens of Piqua. So I thank you all
you,
very
John, and
much.
we're fortunate to have you. And if you would come up to the dais, we'd like to shake your hand before you go back.
See you next door.
Thank you. And now we'll have the oath of office for the new fire captain, Timothy S. Reiser.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Timothy Reisner,
solemnly swear or affirm
solemnly swear
that I will obey
that I will obey
the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
that I will in all respects
and that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the city of Piqua,
and the ordinances of the city of Piqua,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of fire captain
of the office of Fire Captain,
of the Piqua Fire Department.
Piqua Fire Department.
Congratulations.
And Tim, you're not going to let John outdo you, are you?
No, I pretty much echo John's sentiment. You know, I feel blessed every day that I go into work. I just feel honored to work for such a fine organization and such a great city. So, and I look forward to continue on for many years. So.
Again, we're glad to have you and fortunate.
Congratulations, Captain.
At this time, we'll move to the consent agenda, and that includes the approval of the minutes of the January 6, 2015 regular Piqua City Commission meeting. And number 2 on that agenda is resolution number R-8-15, and it is a resolution of appreciation for the public service of Michael A. Peltier as a city employee. And I would ask Mike to meet me at the podium, please. As soon as I get my glasses on. We'll see. Mike, you're leaving us.
Yes, I am.
Well, we would like to recognize you with this resolution, which is resolution number R-8-15. And it reads, a resolution of appreciation for the public service of Michael A. Peltier as a city employee. Whereas Michael A. Peltier has retired as Assistant Fire Chief with the Fire Department, and whereas his retirement follows 30 years of faithful and dedicated service to the city and its citizens, now therefore be it resolved by the Commission of the City of Piqua, Miami County, Ohio, all members elected thereto concurring that, Section 1, in recognition and appreciation of the public service of Michael A. Peltier as Assistant Fire Chief with the Fire Department, this commission tenders its unanimous and respectful tribute by this resolution, which shall be a matter of public and permanent record. Section 2, the resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period allowed by law. It's signed by myself, and it's passed today, and it has the city seal, and we congratulate you on your retirement and want to tell you that we're going to miss you.
Thank you very much.
And you're please welcome to stay.
I just wanted to say a few words and thanks to some of the individuals that got me here tonight. First is about, well, it's been 30 years ago, and I got a call. My parents called me, and my mom and dad happened to see an ad in the paper for a firefighter position. And they knew I was in kind of a transition state. So he called me, and he said, hey, you ought to go check into that. So I did, and you know, the rest is history from there. But and I'd also like to thank the fire chief at the time, Bob Bowman, and the city manager, Frank Patrizio, for hiring me and giving me this great opportunity, because it's been a great job. And also want to thank the current fire chief, Mike Rindler, all the fire officers at the department and the firefighters for their support, their dedication, their leadership over the years. It's helped me do my job, and it has made me a better firefighter and a fire officer. And also I want to be sure to mention to thank my Shift 2 members that worked for me for most of my time there. They did an awesome job, and it was a pleasure to work with them. And also want to thank the other city departments that I had the chance to work with, the police, the power, water, all of them. Everybody, we all worked well together, and if we needed them, they were always there to help us out. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the the citizens of Piqua for always supporting us through the years. It's been fantastic, and being a lifelong resident here and born and raised here, it meant a lot to me for their support, and also I know it meant a lot to all the firefighters. And I want to thank my family, my wife Callie, and my children, Ashley, Allison, and Adam, for putting up with me, for leaving all the time on things and stuff. And so it was great for their support. And again, I wouldn't be here tonight without them. So I really appreciate that. And I want to thank all of you for giving me the time to speak and for the recognition. It means a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. We'd like to shake your hand, all the commissioners.
Oh, yeah, sure. Which way should I start?
Either way.
What did you talk to your kids?
Could we have a round of applause for Mike once more? Thank you. At this point, Commission, I need a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Been moved and second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The consent agenda has been approved. At this time, we will move to executive session and be back just as quickly as we can. If the clerk would call the roll to. Oh, do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I move we go to
you,
executive
John.
session.
Second.
It's moved and second. Becky, if you could call the roll, please.
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Mayor Fest,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
We will excuse ourselves to executive session. We're back from our executive session, and could I have a motion, please, to return into the regular session?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to move back into our regular session. All those in favor signify stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're back in session. And at this time, we'll move to new business. And the first item is ordinance number 10-1-15. This is a first reading.
An ordinance amending Chapter 50 of the Piqua Code relating to garbage and refuse.
Ms. Welker will provide the staff report tonight.
Thank you. This ordinance is to make some adjustments to Chapter 50, which relates to the garbage ordinance for the city. And we have a couple of goals here. We're looking to add some language that will allow us to move forward with our recycling program, which we discussed pretty extensively during the budget period, if you remember. Our goal is to move the recycling service in-house. The city has been contracting for a number of years with an outside contractor to provide curbside recycling, and we are looking to provide that as a city service. So we've added some language that talks about the city providing containers, which Gary's pulled up here for us to look at, and also just some language cleanup. That we wanted the ordinance to better reflect the current operations of how we operate the refuse pickup now. So what we've done is we've added some definitions, including what a recyclable item is, what a bulk item is. We've also tried to add language that will make it a little more difficult for people to go through someone's trash after they put it out. We're making it clear that once our customers and citizens place their materials out for collection, that is the property of the city, and people shouldn't be going through it or taking things out, which will be even more important once we add the recycling service, because we don't want our items taken out of our recycling supply. We've also clarified that yard waste now needs to be placed either loose in garbage cans or in paper biodegradable bags. We used to allow customers to place their yard waste in plastic garbage bags, but those bags are no longer allowed to be in the composting facility. So we're trying to eliminate that contaminant at the compost facility. Currently, when customers put their yard waste out that way, our employees have to tear open each one of those bags and get them out before we would dump that material for composting. So we can eliminate a lot of work if we just have our customers put that out in the paper bags, which are allowed at the facility. We also talked a little bit about limits on bulk items. Our current practice is that we expect the customers to put out bulk items in a reasonable manner. We do collect bulk items, including furniture and appliances and things of that nature, but we don't want to be taken advantage of either. So we've placed a limit of 3 items per week. But we don't really want to cause any concern by doing so. If you have 4 items out, pretty sure we're still going to collect them. What we're trying to curtail is someone setting an entire household full of furniture and those types of things out for us to collect in a single day, where it causes a nuisance in the neighborhood, that kind of thing. We currently will charge if that happens and it's causing a problem in the neighborhood. So that would just continue, but we tightened up the language a little bit in the code.
Thank you, Amy. Commissioners, questions for Amy?
I do have a question. Under garbage collection rates at the bottom of page 5 here, it says, for each container or part thereof, not exceeding 32 gallons or 75 pounds, whichever is greater, the charge shall be $3.74 per container, to be billed monthly at a minimum monthly charge of $17.23.
Yeah, that's for our commercial customers. We charge commercial operations, our small businesses that we collect for, either a flat rate or
Okay.
per container. That if they typically set out 8 containers or what have you, they may fall into the container charge or the flat fee. There's no change. That's a good point. There is no change in rates. We are not adding any fees with the addition of the recycling service, and no rates have changed.
Okay, the wordage just seemed a little bit confusing to me anyway. And then the additional charge of $3.13 per month for recycling shall be included, and that is what we include now for our Rumpke contract?
Correct.
So there wouldn't be any change
There's
there.
no change.
Okay.
Amy, is this container that we're looking at here, that's for the recycling?
Right. Later on in the agenda, we actually have an item to purchase recycling containers, but this is an example of the container we're looking to purchase. It's a 64-gallon container. You can see it has a lid and wheels. We feel like it will greatly increase the ease of participating in the recycling program. It's much larger than the small red bins that we have now. And typically, cities will realize an increase in their recycling by 20 to 40% just by going to the wheeled carts, because they do hold more, and people tend to participate more when they actually have a nice container that will hold a lot of stuff.
Now, will those cards be provided for all the customers?
They will. That's
At no
why,
charge?
free of charge, we're looking to purchase those tonight, or have your authorization to purchase those tonight, and the goal would be to get them ordered and then be able to have them in stock by the beginning of April so that we can start distributing them to customers, and the goal of starting the in-house recycling on May the 1st.
Okay.
One of the great things about having the carts, it not only increases the recycling, but it also helps from materials blowing out of those red containers all over the place, and the red container blowing all over the place. So it's a much cleaner operation and gives you much more opportunity to recycle.
Now, if you have lots of recycling, which most of us don't have that much, can you get more than one of these, like the red bins, or would you just?
Sure, we'd certainly appreciate anyone that wanted more than one
Fill up 2
container.
of them.
Yeah, we don't want to limit anyone in any way.
And then your regular trash and garbage you would just put out as you do now?
Correct. We are looking in the future to potentially go to a container for solid waste, the trash as well. But right now, we just want to get the recycling program up and running.
And the last question I have is, do your trash pickups automatically pick these up and dump them without
Right.
the guys having to do that?
Yes. The last several years, as we've purchased new garbage trucks, we've been equipping them with a tipper on the back, so that knowing that we were looking to go to these types of carts. So it is a safety issue too. So it's a little safer for the sanitation crew, saves on the back a little bit, and that's why we'd like to go for those for the solid waste as well.
I think that looks like a great service.
It works much, much better than just setting trash bags out. It really
Yeah,
does.
and you're right about the paper blowing all over. Up on the west side, we have it all over the place when it's trash night, because it does blow out of those bins. So, okay, any other questions, commissioners? If not, this will stand as the first reading of ordinance number 1-15. Moving to ordinance number 2-15, this also is a first reading.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance of $165,000 of bonds for the purpose of paying part of the cost of building known as the Zollinger Building and associated interest in real property.
Ms. Holtzapfel will provide the staff report.
Thank you. We're asking your request to authorize the issuance of $165,000 in building acquisition bonds. The purpose of the need for this funding, as indicated, is to purchase the 101 South Wayne building, the Zollinger Building. This property has been identified by the Downtown Riverfront Redevelopment Strategy as a key parcel in that area. The terms of this borrowing would be for approximately 1 year with up to 30-year renewal, and it's at a 3% interest rate. The bonds would be purchased and held by Unity Bank. It's not an open issuance, and the desire is that the expectation is that the funds will be reimbursed or recovered when the redevelopment is executed later this year.
Thank you, Cindy. Any questions, commissioners? We have discussed this in executive session, so we think that it's a good move, and with no objections, that will stand as the first reading of this ordinance. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to or for or against this? If not, we'll move to resolution number R-9-15.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of 101 South Wayne Street, parcels numbers N44001930 and N44001235.
Mr. Smeezing will provide the staff reports on items 5, 6, and 7.
Thank you. The first item is the property that relates to the previous item that was just discussed concerning the ordinance for the passage of the bond. The Zollinger property, along with the other 2 parcels that are about to be discussed, the former Piqua Feed and Seed property at 101 South Main Street, and the property at 117 South Main Street, which was previously occupied by the Hosfield Realty office. All 3 of those are critical to the downtown redevelopment efforts that are underway. Our plan identifies the Zollinger Building as being one of the catalytic properties in terms of redeveloping it, spurring additional investment and new activity in our downtown. And then the other 2 are vacant parcels that sit on either side of the former Moe's restaurant, the property at 111 South Main Street, which we previously acquired. By authorizing us to proceed with the acquisition of these properties, The city will effectively have ownership control of the properties, which is really important to us to be able to effectively engage developers in the possibilities insofar as redeveloping the structures.
Thank you, Chris. Commissioners, any questions? I just might comment, there again, we have discussed this in executive session, these purchases on the next three resolutions. It's very exciting because we are starting to move to see the establishment of the Riverfront District. If anyone has not seen a rendering of that, what we're looking at doing there, there's one here on display at City Hall. Please feel free to come up here and take a look at it. It's very exciting. It's a project that will be able to change the face of our city, I do believe, when we can get it finished, and we're moving well. So with no objection, that will stand as the first reading.
This is
No,
actually
this is a resolution. I'm sorry, excuse me. So I need a motion.
I move to adopt resolution number 9-15. Second.
Second. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this resolution? If not, would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Mayor Fest,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry,
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Resolution number R-9-15 has been adopted. Moving on to resolution number R-10-15.
A resolution requesting authorization to purchase a property located at 117 South Main Street.
And Mr. Smeezing, if you have any other comments, I think he commented on this one
No.
already, so.
I think all three of them. So is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this resolution? Commissioners? If not, do I have a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt resolution R-10-15.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R-10-15. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry,
Aye.
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Mayor Fest.
Aye. Resolution number R-10-15 has been adopted. And resolution number R-11-15, again, one that Mr. Schmeezing has already explained. So-
Excuse
ahead,
me.
Becky.
A resolution requesting authorization to purchase the property located at 101 South Main.
And is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against? If not, could I have a motion to adopt, please?
I move we adopt resolution R-11-15.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R-11-15. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Mayor Fest,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry,
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Resolution number R-11-15 has been adopted. Resolution number R-12-15.
A resolution retaining the services of the Auditor of State for the 2014 annual audit for the City of Piqua.
Ms. Holtzap.
Thank you. The city is required to annually have an audit of their financial statements. For the period of January through December of 2014, the Auditor of State has decided to do the annual audit themselves. We've provided you with the engagement letter, which is a summary of the services that will be provided. The audit is scheduled to start shortly and be completed on or before June 30th of 2015 at a cost not to exceed $40,795. That's approximately $123 less than last year's audit.
Why the difference, Cindy? Do you have any idea?
There was no explanation as to why the change, no.
Well, it's a good change.
We're just happy it's not more.
Yeah,
That's the-
isn't that the truth? Yes.
Well, before last year, when they came to audit us, why are they back again? Do we have an idea?
Well,
Did they like it here? What's the deal?
well, it's not really our choice, it's their choice whether they want to do it or not.
They didn't
So are
do
they
it
going to
before
keep-
last year, did they?
Are they going to keep coming back
I-
and doing this?
I
Or
know Ms. Holtzapper will have a comment, but I would venture to say that this is a pretty good audit. It's so clean that it's easy to do, and I don't know that they'll ever leave, so.
Really? When we did that before, did we go out for bids for those audits?
Yeah, we did, and the audit requirement for the state of Ohio is under the Auditor of State. And so even though we went out for bid, it was in conjunction with the Auditor of State that we did go out for bid for an independent. We will continue to request at the end of the audit that we be considered to go out, but it is up to them as to whether it's done in-house by the Auditor of State's office or it's allowed to go out to an independent public accountant.
How many cities, or what percentage do we think that the state is auditing?
It changes annually. They probably, I would guess, and this is just completely a guess on my part, between 55 and 60% is probably done by the state auditor's office, and then the other 40 to 45% are done with independents.
Is this one more item on the governor's agenda to make the state well at the cost of the cities?
I think it's providing jobs for those people in the auditor's office who didn't have anything to do.
Really?
That's what I heard.
There have been staffing changes on the state level,
I mean,
including.
it seems like they could make funding choices on the other end that wouldn't affect the cities like they do. Interesting.
We have to be careful with too many comments. So I
Yeah.
have to,
Okay.
We do
well,
what we're told, right?
but we don't have a choice. I can just put it that way.
But it wasn't because they found something last year that they keep wanting to dive into.
No.
Absolutely. It was a completely clean audit. There were no findings, and
Right.
and so.
No, you have to
No,
have an
that's not
audit
the
every
reason.
year.
Oh, yeah, I understand that.
And they tend to keep the clean ones.
Clean audits are easy to do, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So anyway, any other questions, commissioners, or comments? As you say, we should be cautious with that. If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this? If not, could I have a motion, please?
I move we adopt resolution R-12-15. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number R-12-15. Will the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Mayor Fess,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Resolution number R-12-15 has been adopted. Resolution number R-13-15.
A resolution requesting final legislation to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for the replacement of the traffic signals on U.S. Route 36 at Looney Road, Scott Drive, Center Court, and the two I-75 entrance-exit ramps.
Ms. Havener will provide the staff report.
Thank you. This legislation would allow the city to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation so they can bid and award the replacement of the traffic signals on US Route 36 in Piqua. This would be at the I-75 ramps, at the Looney Road intersection, and also at the Scott Drive intersection. This would be for final legislation. We were here in October of 2014 for the preliminary, which allowed ODOT to begin the design process. What would happen is ODOT will be replacing those traffic signals with new mast arms. They will be the decorative mast arms with the preemption. The city will be responsible for 100% of the costs at the intersections of Scott Drive and Looney Road, with us just requiring to pay the difference in the upgrade to the enhancement of the decorative poles at the intersections on I-75.
And I would just like to add, I think this is an important project to move forward with really improving the interchange area and making it more attractive. So it's going to be a big change in the difference in what's currently there and what we will be putting in. And a lot of that came about, the state was willing and offered to do that because of the improvements on street lighting and everything that we've already made there. So this is a good project for us.
What about the traffic lights at the mall entrance and the Walmart entrance that are farther out? Are we going to try and keep that whole corridor looking the same?
Well, it does include the mall entrance, the
No.
light there.
Uh,
Oh, you mean
other
out
way.
on the street,
Yeah.
further out?
Yeah.
I think not at this time. It may be a future project if we might be able to get funding for and stuff. So we'll look at that down the road a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions, commissioners?
I have a question. In the second paragraph, the project consists of upgrading traffic signals and pedestrian facilities and so forth. Poles will be replaced with mast arms, and vehicle detection will be upgraded to video and radar, lying within the city of Piqua. Are we talking about speed radar?
No.
What are we talking about?
No, this would be basically what we have in the downtown system. Instead of having actually loops cut in the pavement, it will be video detection, and then they will basically talk to each other via the radar, so the signals can be coordinated. It's nothing dealing with the speed.
Now, tell me again, who's talking to one another?
The traffic signals,
The traffic signals are going to talk to one
they
another.
will communicate with one another, so we need to have that interconnectivity.
So it's a timing kind of a thing.
Correct.
Synchronization and so forth, yes.
Okay. Well, when I saw radar, I thought,
Well,
everybody's talking about this
right.
being unlawful to.
the photo red is now unlawful and you can't put it in. So those cities who have put it in now have to figure out how to take it out.
Right. Okay. Well, when I saw that, it just lit a light for me. Thank you.
Any other questions for Amy? Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this resolution? If not, I need a motion.
Move to adopt resolution number R-13-15.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number R-13-15. Would the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Terry,
Aye.
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Mayor Fess,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Resolution number R-13-15 has been adopted. Resolution number R-14-15.
A resolution to award a contract to CDM Smith for the construction administration of the new water treatment plant.
Mr. Jennings will provide the staff report.
Thank you. On November 18th, this commission passed resolution number R-121-14, which showed an intent to award a contract to CDM Smith for this purpose. And we had to do that so we could go through to get our loan through the OWDA. On December 11th of 2014, that loan was approved. So therefore, we're back this evening so we can actually award the official contract to CDM Smith. And just one part of that, this is only actually a portion of the full contract for them. We will have to come back in February when we come back for the offsite pipeline project to finish out the full contract. And we do have Mr. Bob Yoxtimer with us tonight from CDM Smith. He's in the audience.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Bob Yoxtimer with CDM Smith. Be happy to answer any questions anybody might have regarding construction administration of a water treatment plant. Be a lot of things going on administering the contract, but our role in this whole thing is to help you get the value of the project that you're paying for. We can't make decisions on your behalf. We can recommend things to the city staff, but it's basically ultimately the city's project. So
Well,
we're your representative through the duration of the 30-month project, and then actually beyond that.
we've been looking forward to a groundbreaking out there, Bob, and I know you've been in Piqua an awful lot, and we appreciate that. I think we're very comfortable with your company.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and I think we enjoy a mutual working relationship that's very positive, so.
I'm sure you will. I feel. Commissioners, any questions?
This resolution is more or less an agreement for engineering.
Yes, engineering services during construction. We'll be basically administering your contract with the construction contractor, which is Peterson Construction Company.
Look at it as more construction management of the project.
More construction management. We've also got 2 resident project representatives on site during the construction period of the plant that'll be taking care of the day-to-day activities of the construction. We'll be looking at things from the office, such as reviewing over 800 shop drawings on equipment and materials that will be used in the project and approving them or rejecting them, whatever the case may be, ultimately to get them approved. But there's a myriad of things going on. We're also providing startup services for the operators at the plant. When the new plant becomes online, we'll be providing training for the operators to operate the plant, computer-based maintenance management system for the plant as it comes online. So the city staff can have a proactive way of maintaining the plant in a way that would be a predictive type of thing. Let's see, applications engineering. Contractors installing, well, the new plant has very similar types of treatment process the old plant does. So it's not like the city staff is having to come into a brand new world. But the way it's operated is going to be significantly different, a lot of automation. There'll still be manual operation ability, but there's going to be a lot of automation involved. So part of our work is to what we call application engineering. The contractor will install the equipment, run the wiring. We actually come in and do a custom-based program to have the automation system work. So that's a significant part of the contract too. Attending meetings with contractors biweekly and that sort of thing.
So we're going to do the groundbreaking on 28th of this month.
Correct.
We're going to use these little shovels, I understand. And,
Oh, I didn't see that.
and
It'll take a
question I
long
have-
time to build that.
Yeah, I know,
plant.
it'll take a while, but what would we expect to see this year being done out there physically to the ground and to the area?
Well, I haven't seen the contractor's schedule yet. We may have a peek at it tomorrow. We actually have a pre-construction meeting with a contractor tomorrow. One thing they did indicate, there's the plant, you also have 2 pump stations, one at the river and one at the quarry, new facilities. They've indicated they want to get those 2 pump stations built in operation by the end of this year. And if that's the case, then the city can walk away from the old pump stations and begin feeding the old plant with the new pump stations and their ability. So I know that's some of the earlier discussions we've had with them. They want to start immediately. They'd like to start next month actually moving dirt on the site, getting ready. There's quite a bit of earthwork to do.
Okay.
And I would expect probably see some concrete being poured this year.
All right.
Thank you. Anything else for Bob? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this resolution?
Jeff Lang, 9586 North State Route 66. I want to applaud the city for taking the initiative to put in a new water plant. As you know, the old water plant is, 76, 77 years old, and certainly has gone its life distance and beyond. But I want to remind the city that a new plant is great, but don't forget we have raw water that feeds it, and we certainly need to make sure that our source water protection plan, which is in place now, expands even further to ensure that we always have good raw water coming into our plant, because if we don't take care of our raw water, the plant can't do anything with it. So we look at Rocky Ridge as being a big majority of the water we pull from. We pull a lot of water out of the river, and we still pull water out of our hydraulic system, Swift Run Lake. And though we have a source water protection plan in place, it is probably not in depth, deep enough to really ensure our source water protection plan is what I would like to see it reach out even further to make sure that those waters stay as clean as possible, to make it easier for the new plant to process these raw waters. But certainly it's something that we've needed. I'm glad to see we're putting it in, and I applaud the city for taking the initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, and I know how interested you are in our water, and we appreciate all that you do to make sure that our river stays clean as well as the other areas. Thank you. Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion?
I would like to point out real quick that this resolution and the next one are written as emergencies. They're resolutions, so you don't need 3 readings, but it still requires the 10-day publication notice. So they're written as emergencies to make them effective tonight, so we can get the contract signed and stay on the schedule with the groundbreaking and the pre-construction meeting tomorrow and not get off schedule.
Thank you, Tracy. Stacy. Do I have a motion, please?
Move to adopt resolution number R-14-15.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number R-14-15. Would the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Terry?
Aye.
Commissioner Martin?
Aye.
Mayor Fess.
Aye. Resolution number R-14-15 has been adopted. Resolution number R-15-15.
A resolution to award a contract to Peterson Construction Company for the construction of a new water treatment plant.
Mr. Jennings.
Once again, back in November of 2014, resolution number R-120-14 was passed, which again was an intent to award the contract to Peterson Construction so we could proceed with our OWDA loan. And once again, we received that approval on December 11th. So therefore, we are back this evening to give the actual contract to Peterson Construction. And just like Ms. Walls stated, this is also an emergency resolution. We are on a timeline, and as Mr. Yoxtimer stated, Peterson Construction has been knocking on our door. They want to move dirt tomorrow if they can. So they're really ready to go. And, we're excited for them to get started. So at probably the 1st of February, if not before, we will see them on site and moving. Their project manager has been on site many times himself. And as Mr. Lang stated, our current plant was actually built in 1925, so we're pushing 90 years. So it's time to move forward. So.
Thank you, Bob. Commissioners, any questions on this resolution? Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against the resolution? If not, do I have a motion?
I move we adopt resolution R-15-15.
Second.
It's been moved and second to adopt resolution number R-15-15. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Fess.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Resolution number R-15-15 has been adopted. I see two smiling faces out there. Mr. Burton and Mr. our water director, yeah. So congratulations, gentlemen. It's all go. Resolution number R-16-15.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to Cascade Engineering for the purchase of recycling carts.
Ms. Welker.
Yes, as we discussed earlier, this would be the first step in us moving forward with our intent to move the curbside recycling service in-house. So we're looking to purchase approximately 8,000 of these carts so that we can provide them to our customers for recycling. We've chosen Cascade carts after doing extensive research of what type of cart we were looking for, and this cart meets everything that we were looking for. We spoke to a lot of other municipalities that are using these carts, and everyone's very pleased with them. Mitch DeFranco is here with us tonight from Cascade, and he'd be happy to answer any questions as well about the product. They do have a 10-year warranty, so if anything were to happen to any of the carts in the next 10 years, there's a complete replacement. And I spoke specifically to the other municipalities about how that worked, and everyone said simple. You just call them, say I've got these carts, they send you new ones. It's easy process. So we're really pleased. We'd appreciate the opportunity to move forward with this project.
Amy, I understand these are going to be marked. Will they be decaled or?
How they are is, and maybe Mitch would like to.
Mitch DeFranco with Cascade Engineering. So this is just a sample cart we have here. The color, correct me if I'm wrong, the color scheme is going to be a blue body, the bottom part, and a red lid to match your color scheme, correct? And what we'll have on here is, on the top will be recyclables only of some sort, and a white hot stamp. And then on both sides, if you can picture, will be your city emblem, your new emblem, I believe.
Right. We're going to go with the city of Piqua, Ohio, with the bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
So picture
Gary's
that all.
smiling. That's his favorite.
Were there any other questions?
Yes, well, there'll be an address on there.
No, there will be you can see a serial number on here as well, and then those will be recorded as they are delivered to each address.
And that's
So
how we track those.
How would I know what my cart is if there's 10 out there?
You would have a designated number.
I know, but how would I'm not going to know that number.
We'll have record of the number, so if it got mixed up with someone else's, we would have record of it if they wanted to call in and say, what was my number? We don't encourage writing of addresses and things on the cart because we'll have turnover of the carts and things, and if we need to move it somewhere else, that gives us the latitude to switch out carts and move them around. So we're asking the residents not to write on them in any way.
And it's my understanding that every resident is going to get a cart.
Correct.
So,
Joe, I've used these for both trash and recycling in different places, and I've never had an issue with somebody losing a cart.
I guess it doesn't matter which one you grab then.
as long as you have one.
Well, as long
I
as
mean,
you're happy.
As long as you're using it.
I mean, I guess it would matter if I took my neighbors if I didn't know my number.
Even with that, I've never seen them get mixed up unless, it's a rarity.
And can a person reject it?
Sure. We're not going to
Okay.
force someone to take it if they choose not to. We certainly encourage everyone to do it, and the more our citizens recycle, the better off we all are keeping our rates down. It is cheaper to go with the recycling than to place those items in the trash.
And the cost reduction we're going to see by doing this program in-house will eventually pay for the cost of the containers, correct?
Correct. I'm anticipating over the 10-year life of the carts that we're going to see a savings in the 1 million plus range.
Okay.
Which will go a long way in paying for equipment and trucks replacement, which means we don't have to budget additional money to do that.
And by doing the recycling in-house, we're still not going to increase our manpower, correct?
Correct. We're going to utilize our existing staff. We may utilize a few extra temporary helpers as we get the program up and running, and we'll know a little bit more after we do get the whole program functioning, how it all works out staff-wise, but we're not anticipating any additional staff at this time.
And this will be the only size we will have, is that right?
Correct. We're going to go with this size. We think it's the correct size. Mitch certainly has experience of rolling these out with multiple jurisdictions, and it's the right size to use for recycling.
There is no always, but typically the 64 gallon is what's used for single stream recycling, and that for an average household. And you want to use that as a default, and then manage it from there.
And we usually use about 96 for
trash. Typically it's a 96 for trash and a 64 for recycling. Yes.
Do you recommend waiting until that container is full to put it out? Or, I'm thinking about what we would generate per week, which wouldn't fill that container up very far.
It's all, I have the same type of container in my house, and depending on the time of the year, summertime it seems to fill up every week, and wintertime every other week because of the, parties and whatnot. So based upon the collection schedule, if it's every other week, Amy, or is it?
It's every week.
Every week.
Collection will continue every week, and it's certainly at the discretion of the customer. If they don't want to put it out every week, then if they can get by, only putting it out every other week, that's fine.
That's up to you, yeah, sure.
But it doesn't make a difference in tipping it up, whether it's full or whether it's only partially
The
full.
hydraulic tippers that you're going to have, or the automated systems, we'll have no problem whether if you fill that up. The capacity of that container is 224 pounds. So give that some thought. That's a lot of recycling. Even if you were to crush glass and put broken glass in there, I don't think you'd hit that number.
Is there a problem with, will they be pushed over by wind pretty easily since they're not going to be heavy?
They're wind rated, I believe, up to 40 miles an hour.
Okay.
Based
So
upon the ANSI.
Even empty, they'll stay put?
Right, they're pretty solid. We all live in Ohio in the middle of winter, and we know what will happen at times, but for the most part, those are wind tested in wind tunnels.
Okay.
And then they can live outdoors. We don't have to find a place in the garage for them.
No, they're made of hard plastic. You could put them in the garage if it's easy for you, or you can leave them outside, either way.
Okay.
And the lid helps that, to keep the rodents and the crows and all those pesky animals out.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this?
By the way, when I'm picking up all the trash all over the place for the last several years, guess where the low point for trash is? Water. Guess what most of the trash I pull out of the Piqua Hydraulic Canal, Franz Pond, Echo Lake, and Swift Run is? Recyclables. Because the red containers don't have any tops on them. So the wind blows them into the storm drains and what have you, and a few of them drain into our hydraulic canal. So,
Well, hopefully you'll have less work
yeah,
now.
so
too.
I applaud this. This is a great idea.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion on this resolution? If not, do I have a motion, please?
I
Move to adopt Resolution R-16-15.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R-16-15. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Mayor Fess,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Resolution number R-16-15 has been adopted. Looking forward to getting those, Amy. Resolution number R-17-15.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to Barrett Paving Materials Incorporated as the primary supplier and Valley Asphalt Corp. As a secondary supplier of hot mix for the 2015 street and alley maintenance program.
Mr. Harder will provide the staff report.
Yeah, this is our annual request to purchase asphalt from Barrett Materials, and as it says, Valley is our secondary, and the reason we do that, we've done it over the past several years. Barrett is our low bid, Valley was the second low bid, but there are times Barrett may be running base course for a few days or for a whole week, and we need top course, and then if that's the case, we're not able to pave. So we've always used Valley as our backup supplier, so that's what we're asking for tonight.
Any questions of the Public Works Director? Not anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this resolution?
Were those two bids the only ones, it looks like, that have the 402 and 404 asphalt, and that's what we're looking at in this particular resolution?
Those are the only two that we received, yes.
Okay.
Anything else? If not, do I have a motion, please?
Motion to adopt Resolution R-17-15.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt resolution number R-17-15. Would the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Terry,
Aye.
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Mayor Fess,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Resolution number R-17-15 is adopted. Moving to resolution number R-18-15.
A resolution, excuse me, authorizing the purchase order to Piqua Materials Incorporated as the supplier of stone cold patch for the 2015 street and alley maintenance program.
Mr. Harder.
This is also an annual request to purchase our stone and our cold patch from Piqua Materials. As you can see from the bid tabulation, Barrett Paving and Valley were a little cheaper on the cold patch, but if you notice at the bottom, they only carry those at the Moraine plant. So by the time we drive down there, add fuel, add our labor cost, it's much cheaper to stay here in town. So that's what we're asking for tonight.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Any from the audience?
I'll move to adopt resolution number R-18-15.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt resolution number R-18-15. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry,
Aye.
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Mayor Fess.
Aye. Resolution number R-18-15 has been adopted. Resolution number R-19-15.
A resolution requesting authorization to enter into an agreement with Howe Construction Incorporated for the construction of the Great Miami River Interceptor Siphon improvements.
Mr. Brandenburg will provide the staff report.
Right. This is our request to contract with Howe Contractors for construction services of the Great Miami River Siphon. We're augmenting that siphon line with a 24-inch additional siphon. We've received competitive bids. They were opened January 9th by the Finance Department, and Howe Contractors was selected as the lowest and best bid.
Thank you, Todd. Any questions for Todd? Any questions from the audience? If not, do I have a motion, please?
Move to adopt Resolution R-19-15.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number R-19-15. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Mayor Fess,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Resolution number R-19-15 has been adopted. That brings us to the end of our regular agenda. I want to state that the monthly reports for November 2014 are in and have been accepted. And at this time, we'll open the floor for public comment from anyone who would like to speak to the commission. Just come to the center of the room to the podium. State your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Don Freisteller, Water Superintendent, and as you could tell, I'm not a very good poker player because upon approval of the plant this evening and a contract with CDM Smith, it adds a lot of excitement to the water treatment plant and myself as well. I just wanted to go on record thanking Commission for the support from the beginning of the project, which has been a number of years ago, and you got my personal guarantee we'll make this project come together. Again, January 28th at 10 a.m. at the water treatment plant site. We are having a groundbreaking and look forward to hopefully seeing you all there.
Thank you, Don, and we know that under your direction and with that of Mr. Bertner, everything will go well, and before long we'll have that new plant up and operating.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Jockwa from Piqua. And Madam Mayor, I sent you a letter today, and I carbon copied the other commissioners. And I'm still on the subject of no growth and low wages compared to our neighboring cities, Sydney and Troy. And I'm not making this up. A year and a half ago, I went to the Dayton Chamber of Commerce and for a meeting, and while I was there, I picked up one of their brochures, and they were touting and advocating all the great areas in this area to lay into business and to start a business and to promote growth, and they were showing the high growth areas, and Piqua looked like a black eye. I mean, it was almost discouraging to see the way we were ranked on a brochure in the Dayton City Chamber of Commerce. Excuse me. I'm not going to keep coming to city commission meetings and taking your time up. I hope you'll read the letter I sent to you. I spent a lot of time writing it. I think it's cogent. I think it's clear. I think it's concise. And I would be surprised if you did take it up next meeting and decide that we want to have a mayor who's a full-time job with an attractive salary. I'm just kidding. But I just conclude by saying I listened tonight to you. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars you spent purchasing property tonight, but if you take that same money, go buy some of this expensive industrial ground that Gary was telling me about, and then just, call John Boehner and say, John, we need somebody that that has 1,000 good paying jobs, and give him the ground. Just give it to him, or loan it to him at a low cost. To me, that's what economic development would be. So that's all I have to say.
Mr. Joshua, I can say that having worked economic development in the city for 6 years, that sounds very simple, but it's very difficult. And we have Justin Summers, our economic development director, who's doing a fine job, and it's not as easy to just find those properties and get them from the owners. I think you had a discussion with the city manager, and I believe in the letter you addressed the issue of changing the type of government that you talked about tonight. The commission, and I will ask them for their comments if they have any, I don't believe that we're in agreement with that right at this time. As far as us taking the point on that, we would need to have the citizens come forward.
Right. I understand that. I mean, I've been on this subject for 2 years.
Uh-huh.
I've discussed it with Mayor Hudson. He told me I was wasting my time coming here, but I think I owe it to you to at least approach you first.
Right.
I intend to be persistent. I think I'm right. And until somebody shows me where I'm wrong, I'm going to stay on the subject.
Well, we have had a tremendous amount of improvement in the last 3 years. And if you notice tonight, the properties, we're looking at changing the face of the whole community. It takes an awful lot of things to bring site seekers in and have them be interested in a community. We're working on that. And I think one of the worst things we could do right at this time would be to lose the experience and expertise of our city manager.
I think if you read my letter, it was very clear that he's part of, I see no reason to
But he
replace
doesn't
him.
work in that type of government. And, I mean, he works as a manager, not as a safety director or whatever. So I don't think probably we would be fortunate enough to keep Mr. Huff if we were to go to that type of government. But we will continue to look at it. I mean, it's not that we don't appreciate your interest in the city, and we all have the same concerns about growing the city. And I think in the last 3 years, we've really, really made an attempt to address those things that might be holding us back some.
Right.
And I think in the next few years, we're going to see that change.
Well, unfortunately, the city of Piqua doesn't have an Office of Management budget, and so nobody can really gauge or predict or come up with solid figures or back up with most of what you guys are saying. And so, we have to take your word for most of these things, and I'm not so
I
sure.
think our finance director could answer any questions that you would have on that.
Okay.
She does an exceptional job, and
I ask her questions routinely.
do you?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for
Thanks.
your comments. We'll go to the city manager's report.
Thank you. A couple items to mention tonight that I wanted to kind of follow up on is, as you know, this past week we had a water line break, serious water line break on High Street. And of course, that's caused by the fluctuation of the temperatures, very cold temperatures. The break actually affected about 2,500 residents and businesses in that western part of the city. They had water, but of course, anytime we have a water break, we were required by Ohio EPA to actually give out a boil advisory, and then also, till we get the repairs and the testing done, lift that advisory. Once we're finished with the repairs, it takes 24 hours for the testing to be completed in order to lift that boil advisory. But we have started recently, I think just in the past 2 or 3 months, of utilizing a call system to be able to call residents and businesses in the affected area. And we're using the Miami County Communications Center's HyperReach call system. And that system is able to utilize the phone numbers for the telephone companies. Now, one of the things that we found out is it's not 100% effective, and there are some concerns about why it doesn't reach some phone. For instance, my landline wasn't called, and I have a Time Warner phone system, so we think it may be related somewhat to that. But we did end up with over, I think it was 1,875 phone calls were successfully made to people with that they're in the affected area, which is pretty significant. Previous to this, we didn't have any calls, and so this has helped. But we also utilize a lot of social media, radio, TV to get the word out, and I believe we started about 5:30 a.m. With the informing the media and getting information out, and it was being broadcast by 5:45 a.m. So it worked pretty good from that standpoint. We realized that there's some improvements. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is trying to upload our utility billing information. And I should add that the HyperReach system only carries landlines. It does not have cell phones, because cell phones are bought in various places and have different area codes, and they're not covered under this. However, our utility billing does have cell phone numbers in it. So our first effort is going to be to upload that information into the HyperReach system. And then from that, we're going to be asking citizens to actually input data. The other call systems such as Call One and Code Red require everyone register. This system does not require that. We can upload data. So, but we will be encouraging people to upload cell phones and things of that nature so that we'll have those phone numbers. So we realized that everyone wasn't called, but this was our really first largest attempt, and it worked pretty successfully on the first time. But we understand that there were some people that that didn't get called, and we did also did door hangers and all types of things to get the information out. So, and we will continue to try to improve that process as much as possible. So we're off to a good start with it, but we know we have some things to improve on, and we will be working to do that. I do want to thank Underground Utilities and Public Works for their efforts on making the repair quickly, and it was a pretty large, I think it was a 10-inch line, if I'm not mistaken, that had to be repaired, and that's a pretty significant amount of water to be losing, but fortunately we have some good people on that. But I just wanted to give you an update on that and what we're doing. I should also mention that the HyperReach system which the county has, we're able to utilize that free of charge. If you go into Code Red or One Call, you're going to be paying $20,000, $30,000 to utilize that type of service. So this is a good system, and we're going to work on making it better and as effective as possible.
I have one question on that, and probably for Mr. Freisler. That is when you do the water boil advisory, that's a precautionary. I mean, at that point, you don't know whether there's any contamination or not. Is that correct? I had a call from somebody who was frantic because their husband drank a cup of coffee before they knew about the boil advisory.
I drank a cup of coffee and I knew about it. So
that is correct. It is truly precautionary. Anytime the water pressure in the system drops below 20 psi, we have to make sure that we advise everyone that there could be a possibility of a contamination. The only way we have to assure there is not is to go out and gather samples and bring them in and incubate them for 24 hours. So during that time period, we tell folks that any water they're going to consume is what you truly have to boil.
Okay.
And so, you know, folks get concerned about their laundry and using for their toilets and such. It's just really precautionary. And in a lot of years, I've been in the business for almost 40 years. I've never had a positive sample after a main break situation. We have chlorine in the water to assure that the disinfection does happen. But anytime you have a severe break to the magnitude of what this was, you can't be sure that there wasn't something that possibly siphoned into the system. That's why we put out that precautionary boil advisory.
I thought that's the way it was, but I just wanted to, I mean, because people do make mistakes and use it before they know about it or don't think about it. And would this cause some type of flu symptoms or something? Should there be something in contamination?
If it was an actual bacteria issue, that can cause flu type symptoms, but it truly we're in the middle of flu season, so every morning somebody wakes up with flu symptoms again. So you know, it's one of those things that if it was truly an influx of bacteria or something of that nature, it could cause those symptoms. But as I said, we took some 20 samples through this area, and to give you an idea, each month the entire system is evaluated throughout our system, and we're only required to take 20 bacteria samples for the entire month. In that one day, to assure that those residents were having safe water, to make sure we checked all the areas as much as we could, we ran 20 samples in the affected area, just to make certain that we had covered everything as thoroughly as we possibly could.
I appreciate your explanation on that.
Surely.
Thank you. Didn't mean to interrupt you in your
No,
report.
good question.
but-
We want to make sure everybody understands how that
Yeah.
works and what the process is. The other item I'll mention is water break also. Last week we did have a fire suppression line freeze in the Fort Piqua Plaza. It took us about a week to have the repairs made. Fortunately, most of the damage was the water went down the stairwell, and we did have some damage. And since that time, we have determined how that happened, and we have taken steps to eliminate that in the future. It happened to be in the stairwell, the fire suppression valve outside the door in the stairwell, so we've actually installed heater in that area, which will prevent that from happening again. I do want to thank Bob Grazer with the engineering department, who worked all week long with contractors and Pickwick Power and others who played a big part in helping out. We were able to keep the facility open with the use of generator, and as of last Sunday, this past Sunday, we were able to transfer all the power back to our panels, electric panels and everything within the facility itself. So an unfortunate situation, but it's one of those things that happens during extremely cold weathers and just happened to take place. It's hard to explain why, but again, we're taking those precautions. But I did want to give thanks to Bob. He was out every night, almost daily, working on this and making sure that everything operated. So we appreciate his efforts on that.
Thank you.
And that concludes my report.
Let's go to Commissioner Wilson.
Well, I had a question on the board advisory. I did receive some calls on that. And when we upload the information on our accounts, will we also upload the landlines too?
Yes, it'd be landlines
Okay.
and cell phones.
Yeah.
We do have cell phone numbers for people. Now, what's going to be important is it's not going to be 100% fail-safe. So after we upload that data, then we will be coming back and asking citizens to voluntarily register their
Okay.
information. That way, if there's any change in the landline or cell phone number that's listed with utility billing, because those may have changed also, we can get upgrades on those.
Okay.
So it's going to be a little bit of a process to get all that information correct, but once we do, we'll have much better information and to be able to get it and reach more people in these types. Hopefully, you don't have to do it very often, but it is important and it has been helpful to make those calls.
Yeah, when people see a board advisory, they think they're going to die if they sip so.
That's what
It's a
was.
little
That's
bit of a
why I would have
concern,
done
yeah,
to
right.
explain that. Yeah.
I did have just one thing to say on Dunham Sports, the new sports store out at the Miami Valley Center Mall. I was out there the other day, and they were doing a job fair during really cold weather, and they were having trouble getting enough people out there because of the weather. So they are having another one this Saturday, which is the 24th, in front of the inside the food court area in front of their store entrance. It'll be from 9 in the morning to 4 o'clock. Again, it's at the Miami Valley Center Mall. It'll be primarily the sales positions for the store. And I talked to some of the people, and I believe they're going to try to open up sometime in March, probably the end of March, and they're looking to employ about 50 people.
Great.
So they want to get a lot of people out there to just fill out an application. I don't think it takes very long, and they'll. I don't have any more details than that, but looks like a good opportunity to get a job out there, and it sounds like they're going to have some things that we don't have currently in town for some of our citizens. So again, it's this Saturday from 9 to 4 at the Miami Valley Center if you have an interest in applying. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Terry.
Just wanting to congratulate our retiree, Mike Peltier, and our 2 officers that have been promoted in the fire department, and also congratulate the YWCA on another nice Martin Luther King Day program that they held yesterday. It's always well done, and they do a good job, and it was interesting and entertaining. Thank you. That's all.
Commissioner Martin.
I'd like to congratulate our firemen, the 2 that received the promotions and also the one that retired. It's always nice when somebody retires from anywhere and they are young enough to have fun after retiring, or in good enough shape too. Other than that, that's it.
Thank you, John. Doug, is he still here? Doug?
Doug Carter?
I had a question for you. I was just curious. We did so much paving and overlaying and things there earlier in the season, has the cold weather, the ice and snow, is that causing potholes and stuff again? Is it undoing what we did?
We're always going to have potholes. It doesn't seem to be affecting the areas that we did last year, maybe some just minor cracks, but the potholes, and, you know, we'll keep working at them, and as we keep our resurfacing and, you know, different things, doing rebuilds and full depth reclamations, we'll slowly close that gap.
Okay. I was just curious as to how much damage it might have done to what we just finished, you know.
Nothing that I've seen.
Good, wonderful.
But we do have new potholes. I mean,
Oh, I'm sure we'll have potholes. You can't have a city without potholes, right?
I'd like to.
Well, you keep working on that, Gary. And anyway, why would you drink a cup of water when you're supposed to boil the water first and you drank coffee without boiling it?
Well, unless Don had called and said there was a chemical spill in the thing, I probably wouldn't have
okay.
drank it, but knowing probably about the likelihood that there's really not any issue.
Okay, well, you're a brave man, I want to tell you.
I like coffee, too.
I know you like coffee. Okay, well, with that, I don't think we have anything else this evening, Commissioners, so if I could have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Moved and second, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.